Hey everybody, Mega31 here, back for FSI DFS. Going to break down the 9-game slate for Tuesday, 4/12. Could end up being an 8-game slate because the weather in Minnesota, where the Dodgers are playing the Twins, does not look good. First game up, we have Milwaukee and Baltimore. Seen many different outlets have many different people pitching for Baltimore. I've seen Spencer Watson. I think it's Tanner Wells. So I'm not going to touch that. Eric Lauer on the other side, not super interested in either. Milwaukee's pitchers have really struggled to start the season, and I think he's way too high priced at 9-1. I'd rather get bats and try to pay up for him here, even against Baltimore. Bat wise, I think if it is Wells, and he's a little bit of he's not really a good pitcher at all. So I don't think it matters who's up against him, but actually it's a little bit worse against righties. So I'd like Milwaukee righties. They have a 5 total here. And then on the Baltimore side, I think that they could definitely be a cheap stack that you could throw out against this lefty, especially if they go right-handed heavy, and like Mancini's only like 2.9. So Hayes is a really good hitter against left-handed pitching. So there's a lot of options there. Blue Jays and the Yankees. I mean, this is another hard one for pitching. You have Kikuchi, who's a lefty against the Yankees, and then you have Cortez, who's a lefty against two really right-handed heavy lineups at times that really hit left-handed pitchers well. So something's got to give here. So, and these pitchers aren't horrible, but I think, Kikuchi, if you're paying 8.6, I think that's a high price. And Cortez does have some K upside, and I don't think there's a ton of strikeouts in this Toronto lineup, but I mean, maybe in a GPP if you're just trying to be contrarian. And it's only gonna be like 66 degrees there, so it isn't super conducive to hitting. But Toronto has hit a lot of home runs, as have the Yankees early on in the season. So I think we just kind of let this game go. I don't think really you want to mess with either pitcher here. Both stacks could be a GPP, but both teams have decent bullpens. So I think it's kind of a wash, and just, there's potential there, but I'm just going to move on and this 9-game slate. Next up, we have the Miami Marlins and the Los Angeles Angels. Mike Trout was scratched just before last night with stomach flu. Don't know if he's back. If he is, I like Luzardo anyways, because the Angels have a pretty high K rate, and Luzardo's a decent K pitcher. So I think he's definitely at 7.3 is a really good medium range play. Would be my second favorite on the slate, next to Sandoval on the other side against this Marlins team. So I mean, you might be able to even just like stack this game pitching wise if you wanted to. You're giving up the win equity there, but they're both in really good situations, especially if Trout's not in the lineup. Bat wise, I think the Marlins could make a cheap stack. Actually, I think they're just both leverage stacks, because if these pitchers are popular, that's really what you're playing for. Is if they don't do well, then you take the bats against them, then you've got some leverage on the field there. So like the pitching here, not too keen on the hitting here. If Trout is back in the lineup, I mean, I think maybe the Angels would be a decent tournament. They got 5 run total, but I really think that's a little bit too high. Matt Duffy is another guy that's really cheap at 3.4. He plays second or third base for you, as if you want to take as a one-off here. If you don't want to go full Angel stack, he's had a good history against left-handed pitching in the past. Atlanta Braves and the Washington Nationals. Patrick Corbin, he's struggled recently in recent years. So I don't think I'm really interested in him. The Braves are just like Baltimore. I've seen Max Fried, I've seen Tristan, I've seen other guys listed as the starter here. So really no clue. If it's Fried, I don't mind him against Washington, but at 9K, that's a little bit high. So I think, I'd rather take some of the mid-range guys, or when we get to it, like pay up for Darvish on this slate here. Washington bats, I think if it is going to be a younger pitcher from the Braves, I think they do make a cheap stack that you could go after here. And then the Braves, I think, are one of my favorite stacks on the slate. I went stacked them yesterday. Thinking right back here, like especially the righties. I'm not going to take Matt Olson. I think he's a little bit past his prime. But like LB's, Riley, Ozuna, Duvall, even don't mind taking like Arcia down at the bottom or Swanson doing the wraparound to fill in the shortstop position, because not too many shortstops that hit higher up in the lineup that I'm really interested in the slate. Next game, we said we had the Dodgers and the Twins. Heaney, I'm not really interested in. This Twins team has a lot of right-handed hitters, and even though they do have some strikeouts in this lineup and have underperformed in spring training, not interested in him. He could give up a bunch of runs here. Plus, with the rain, he could be out after the third inning or something. And I just don't trust the game. Archer on the other side, come back from injury, trying to mount a comeback. And he was a great pitcher when he was with Tampa Bay, but I think he's really faded away now and is just kind of an average guy. And against this Dodger lineup, no way. And again, I think you're kind of risky playing. If the weather turns out, then I think Dodgers are always a great stack, and Minnesota's not a bad stack here against Heaney, especially Buxton. He's on fire for the start of the season. Correa added to that lineup here. Maybe play three guys. I don't know if I go like a full 5-person stack, especially in cash. I think it's more of a GPP thing to look at. Next up, we have the game that we lost yesterday due to a rainout. We have Kansas City and St. Louis. Hudson on the hill. I think he is my favorite cheap pitcher on the slate at 6'3", up against this Kansas City team who I was planning on stacking every single day, but they just really haven't given up on them yet. But I think I'm leaning more Cleveland or Texas at this point, because those guys are actually putting up runs, and Kansas City is kind of struggling. So like I said, I'll still give it another week before I completely come out and figure out which two teams I'm stacking for the rest of the season every single day, which has been hard with all these broken up slates. And if you play like on FanDuel all day, like the prize pools are just like minimal. I might win like a cup of coffee if I like hit the top GPP or something like that. So anyways, Kansas City, Lynch, no, he's on my fade list. I'm not interested there. St. Louis is a top stack, I think, on the slate with all these righties against him. I think they're actually going to mash him. They have a 4.86 total, but I could see them putting up 6 or 7 runs. They put up a football score in spring training. And they've been pretty good to start off the season. So I think St. Louis is going to destroy Lynch today. And on the Kansas City side of it, a leverage stack against Hudson. That's about it. Witt continues to be very, very cheap and a very good baseball player, rookie, batting second at third base, has some speed, has some power. I think that's pretty much what I'd look for there. In there, I don't think I'd take too much Kansas City today. Colorado and Texas, Chad Krul and Martin Perez. Perez is absolutely horrible against right-handed batting, but he does have some K upside against left-handers. So I don't know. I don't think he's more of a ground ball pitcher, I think. So I don't know. I'm not touching Perez at 5'8". I mean, he's cheap if you need to use him in a GPP, because Colorado traditionally hasn't been great away from Colorado, but I really think that Colorado's could be a sneaky cheap stack today, especially like I said, the right-handers. Chad Krul, I'm not interested in him really at all. This Texas team has been very, very hot. I think they'd be my 4th favorite stack today. On the slate, they have a 5.8 run total. So I think they're somebody to really start to watch, and hopefully their prices stay down, because like Brad Miller leading off, lefty, ready matchup there, available at third base or outfield at 3.4K is really decent. And even like low batting like 5th there, lefty righty matchup 4-4. Even Corey Seager's reusable at 5K. So sprinkle in like Semien and Garver, nice 5-man stack there. Even Willie Calhoun has some blazing speed if you want to do a wraparound thing at 3.5. Really like him too. Maybe even if he leads off over Miller too, I definitely lock him in there at that price tag. So definitely something to look at. Houston and Arizona Diamondbacks, you have Luis Garcia and Madison Bumgarner. I think it's 9-4. It's just too high to play. It's the same thing as Lauer. I think at high priced pitchers, he'd be like the second one if you want to pay up. Arizona is not a great team, but the roof is going to be open, so that should help them hit a little bit better there. Bumgarner not even touching. He's way past his prime, a shell of himself. Really struggles to get through the early innings of a game. So total fade for me. Houston, I think they'd be in my top GPP stack. There, especially like the righties. I just like the matchup for St. Louis, Milwaukee, Atlanta, and Texas a little bit more, but I think Houston's definitely the conversation. If you want to make them your primary stack, I do not hate that at all, especially with some of these younger right-handed bats that you like, Diaz and McCormick, that you can get in there. Machado should have is a really cheap catcher at 2-3 to throw out there also. For the Arizona bats, just a cheap GPP stack. I know they have some lefties that can hit. Beer has a little bit of power there. Verchero leading off really cheap. So they're definitely a cheap stack, and it's something, that to definitely throw in a GPP against Garcia, who's not a horrible pitcher, but again, like I said, with the roof open and everything, it's a decent hitting environment. And maybe they could go off like the Oakland A's did today, that I don't think many people really saw coming. The final game is San Diego Padres and San Francisco. Very low total in this game, 7.5, 3.75 for each team. Yu Darvish, I know both teams can hit, but I think just in this environment, in this ballpark, it's going to be 50 degrees. There's it says an 18-mile-per-hour wind blowing out, but I think that's not like at Wrigley Field. I don't think that's going to matter much. So Yu Darvish, I think, is like one of the most stretched out. He has the potential to go 90, 100 pitches. If you can get up to him, I think definitely is your SP1 tonight on this slate. If not, Alex Cobb. I think San Diego seems to have struggled. They don't have as much pop without Tatis in that lineup, and they're on the road here. And I think Cobb is definitely a decent pitcher. So I think out of the mid-range, I would put him up there with Sandoval and Luzardo. Now, Luzardo definitely gets the bump if there's no Trout in that lineup, but I think Cobb is definitely one to look at also. So again, just to kind of wrap up, pitchers, Darvish is my favorite. Garcia, I can see it against Arizona. Lauer and Kikuchi, I just think are way too expensive. GPP only if you're going to play them. Definitely a risk there. Medium range, love Sandoval. Ground ball pitcher should be in a good matchup there against Miami. Luzardo has some K upside, I think. Sandoval is pitching for. Yeah, he's against the Marlins. I got that right. Luzardo on the other side of the matchup, like I said, some K upside, like him, especially if Trout's out. Cobb. Cortez has some K upside for the Yankees, but I think it's just way dangerous to play. Cheap guys love Hudson. Perez is a ground ball pitcher for Texas against Colorado. Again, he struggled with right-handed batters, so that might be a little risky. Corbin and Krul, I just think are guys I'm not interested in there too, and I'm fading Lynch and Bumgarner. Definitely fading the LA Dodger and Minnesota pitchers just because of the weather, and then Baltimore and Atlanta, unless it's Fried, who I still think is a tad expensive for the context of this slate. Think about it on them too. So top stacks: St. Louis, Milwaukee, Atlanta, and Texas. GPPs, you have the blue blood there: Houston, Toronto, New York, LA Dodgers. If you're playing in the 20-man, like $4 one, you throw a stack of each one of them in there, and if one of them goes off, you're good. I think Minnesota could work too, but like I said, the Dodgers and Minnesota would just check the weather on that one. And cheap Baltimore, Washington, Colorado righties, and Arizona there. And then if you just want to throw like a leverage stack out there against the good pitchers, I think Miami, LA, only if Trout's in there, KC and San Francisco and San Diego, just because I think both pitchers in that game are going to be popular. But I'm really looking for like one-offs in most of those games. Like I said, Duffy for LA and Witt for Kansas City. So let's reveal some of our lineups that we're looking at today. So first one build is, like I said, St. Louis's. So you can take you up top or go all the way down to Cobb, or throw in like Sandoval, Loaizo in between. Catcher, I think, the best route here, if you're trying to get up to Darvish, is just take a 2K guy. There's a couple projected to play, or even Maldonado has the split advantage against Baumgartner at 2-3. He's a everyday catcher. He's not horrible. So I'm taking Goldie, Arenado, Carlson, and O'Neill. If you want to fill in another Cardinal here, that's fine. I wouldn't do wraparound with Edmund. I think he's just way too expensive down there, and you can't play Pujols because he's 2 first basemen, and so maybe DeJong at shortstop there. But the spots that are open up in this one, it leaves you 3,900 to 4,900. You can fit in top of Baltimore's lineup in there. You can fit in top of Texas's lineup in there. There's a lot of decent lineups that match these open positions. You just got to find one with a shortstop hitting up, or like I said, if you want to throw DeJong in there and drop one of these other players. I wouldn't drop Goldie or Arenado or O'Neill probably. Maybe if you're dropping one, Carlson, if you need another outfield spot for that. So that's my first build. And then my second build here is going with Atlanta. Again, you down to Cobb. If you go all the way up and play you and Hudson, and you play Albies, Riley, Duvall, and Ozuna. And if you throw Arcia in there, he's in parentheses because that's a wraparound. Doesn't have to. You can fill in with a shortstop there. It's 4,600 per player left, and that's a decent amount. Again, there are some decent stacks that could on this board here that could fit in there to fill that out also. Or if you even want to throw like Swanson in there as like a wraparound stack to over Arcia, if he's like hitting higher in the lineup or something, that's fine. It just lowers the rest of your amount. But like I said, there's a lot of decent one-offs out there that you can throw into your lineup and help you out. So good luck today with the slate, and thanks for watching. If you want more information for FSI DFS, you can go to the information in the description of the video, and all the links to our Discord, to our sites there. Very reasonable pricing for our packages. We give you, as you can see, like our core sheet here, we give you tiers, we give you all the showdowns. This will be updated before the slate, and we cover like early slates. McKinley did a video for that. Been doing an awesome job with his coverage of the early things, and we just appreciate you watching. So and just the viewership has been incredible so far to start the season. So like our video, subscribe to our channel so you get an alert when our videos are up, and we appreciate you watching. If you have any questions, leave some comments below. We love interacting with people, especially last season. We met so many cool people and built so many great relationships with some DFS players that watched our videos. It was really fun, and we look forward to meeting some new people and some new viewers this year, and getting to know you also. So thanks again for watching. I'm Megorilla31. Catch me on Twitter at Megorilla31. We'll see you next time.